from the 4-yard line. 4-2. Snap to Goff. Looking. Throwing it to the left. It is dropped. Dropped by the tight end Mitchell. And the Cowboys are going to have a 1-point lead in the ball.
Oh, how the tables have turned, this time in favor of the Dallas Cowboys, winning the game in the final seconds. The Cowboys defense silencing all the noise from Week 16 about whether or not they were able to make the stops when they needed them. They did that and more against the Detroit Lions, solidifying the win in AT&T Stadium and solidifying themselves as the best team in the league when at home. Their 16 straight wins is still the longest active home win streak in the NFL. Welcome into Cowboys Flashback. I'm Nicole Hutchison. A special night dedicated to Jimmy Johnson's induction to the Ring of Honor, and the Cowboys capped off the celebration with a 20-19 win over the Lions. The offensive production was there. The defense played stingy, and no surprise with special teams at all. They're still on a roll, but the fight down the stretch is something this team is proud of.
That was a good home win. Completes a regular season win all your home games. That's a good place to be. But we talked all week about it, and we felt these guys were extremely tough opponent. I thought they played us extremely aggressive defensively. A lot of pressure. We had a lot of uphill down and distances throughout the game. Our guys just kept battling, overcoming it. Defense had the big takeaways, and the 2-point. I mean, that was in a 2-point extravaganza. That looked like training camp. Line up and go at it for 3 or 4 plays. So, just a great fight and finish by both teams.
Did you get any explanation on the 2-point play as to why the first one did not stand?
Yes, I was told that 70 was who they announced, but he covered up 68 is what I was told. So.
Clarence.
Mike, can you just talk about the running game? Your 4-minute offense is so important. You got the ball back twice.
Happy New Year, Clarence. The run game was clearly not the highlight of our performance tonight, but we had, I think, probably 6 tackles for losses. They really overloaded the front. We had some pull schemes that we thought we'd be able to get the ball to the C gap. Like I said, the pressure and the overload defense was a challenge for us tonight.
And conversely, you talked about the tackles for losses on defense. And conversely, you talked about the tackles for losses on defense and how your defense.
I thought our defense played probably one of their better games of the year. I thought the situation defense was outstanding. The way they responded, the takeaways. But boy, what an ebb and flow of a game. I think it was in some ways weird, just the way it goes up and down. There's always a difference to a game, and I thought the momentum swings. I thought our guys did a really nice job. They kept bouncing back.
What were your emotions over the last few moments of that game? When y'all kicked the field goal and them coming back down the field.
Everywhere, not settled, but in the same sense, ready for the opportunity to go back out there. If time was on the clock, understanding we had a timeout, we got a hell of a kicker. But yeah, a lot of emotions. Wanting to finish with the ball in your hand. Don't do that. They get the ball back and they're on a drive. Then the 3 plays of the 2-point conversion. And at that point, I just wanted, hey, are they in or are they not? Just let me know if we need to go back out there. Like I said, we had time on the clock, and hell of a kicker with the timeout that I felt confident and comfortable in our plan and the things that we practiced, that we would have been able to get in position for him to take an attempt at a game winner. But hell of a job by the defense. So some things played into that, and they finished it the right way.
Dak Todd Archer from ESPN. Mike has called this stretch playoff games without playoff consequences. How do you feel you got after these 3 games against Buffalo, Miami, and Detroit to get this one? How important is that going into what you have ahead of you?
Yeah, it's huge. Huge, especially coming off of the last 2, obviously not getting a win. In either of those 2 and being on the road, having a close one out in Miami after the Buffalo just wasn't wasn't even a close game, I guess you can say, and then losing close, in a game that we could have won there late, and then being able to win this game and pull this one out, kind of similar to the game last week, was important. It was important as we move forward, understanding that this is playoff football. We've got one more game here against a division opponent, and then everything counts. It's a one game season each and every week, and so we've got to continue to build off of what we've done, the good here lately, but make sure that we're locking in every aspect, detail, being disciplined, not hurting ourselves, and finding a way to play our best ball right now and create that momentum.
There's always lessons in every loss. Well, this team's been building on the lessons they've learned the past couple of weeks, and it is absolutely paying off. They're now 11-5 in the season. They've got their 11th win. We're going to dive into that why and the goods from that win in Week 17. But up next, we've got Savannah Humoyler joining the show to break down her playmakers from Week 17.
Dallas Cowboys Flashback, powered by Reliant, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys snapped their two-game losing streak with a win over the Detroit Lions in Week 17. 20-19, the final in AT&T Stadium, moving the Dallas Cowboys to 11-5 in the season. We got Savannah Humoyler to join the set with me. We finally got that 11th win, like Mike McCarthy's been just raving about the past couple of weeks. But we got to start with this offense first, right? We're going to get to CeeDee Lamb and his record-breaking night later in the show. But Brandon Cooks, just to think about it, earlier in the season, there was a lot of questions about why he's not getting involved in this offense. But we're seeing now, when he gets involved, good things happen.
Oh, yeah. I think it just took him a little bit. He's an NFL vet.
Yeah.
He's now having those games where you're really seeing him as a standout player. And as much as CeeDee Lamb is doing, I love seeing Brandon Cooks get more involved in this offense and excited to see him go forward. We'll get into it. What a great game on Saturday, right down to the wire for the Cowboys, but they got the job done. 345 passing yards on offense and 2 takeaways on defense. Time to give credit where credit is due. While all eyes were on CeeDee Lamb with his record-breaking game, I want to highlight, of course, the archer Brandon Cooks, who also had a very big night for the boys. 5 receptions, 60 yards, and 1 touchdown, which gave the lead to the Cowboys in the fourth quarter against the Lions. Cooks was cooking. His touchdown marked his 7th of the season, which is the most touchdown receptions he's had in a single season since 2017 with the New England Patriots. And looking at postseason, Cooks was asked after the Lions game the importance of this win heading into the playoffs. His response, I think it's huge. Anytime you got the opportunity to be able to finish the season strong going into postseason, that's what you want to do. Heading into Washington this next Sunday, I'm hoping Brandon Cooks once again can help lead the Cowboys to a road victory. Now let's turn to defense. I've been waiting for this one for a while. Jordan Lewis marked the first interception of the season against the Lions. Let's check it out.
Under center, receiver comes in motion from right to left. Goff will fake it and throw. That's picked off. It's picked off by Jordan Lewis as he threw it out to the left. Trying to throw the ball back to Montgomery, and Jordan Lewis comes up with the Cowboys' first turnover in the last 3 games.
Hometown team Lewis easily played the best game of the season, if not of his career, on Saturday. In the first half alone, 5 tackles and the pick off Jared Goff. Looking at Washington, this is a must-win game, setting up the boys to take the NFC East. There has not been a repeat team in 18 years to win the NFC East. That's the longest streak for any division in NFL history. The Cowboys ended their regular season last year at Washington, losing 26-6. Nicole, it's a must-win for me on Saturday or on Sunday.
Oh yeah, for sure, must win. But you know how they got to start to win that defense, right? They say defense wins championships. I think they say that a lot, right?
Exactly.
Let's
I
keep
want
this
the doomsday defense.
Yes.
Bring it back. Let's go.
Let's bring it back. Hopefully they bring it back on Sunday against Washington. We'll dive more into that playoff picture later in the show. But up next, we're talking about defense and breaking down this Cowboys defense and the win in Week 17.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
There's only one way to sum up the Dallas Cowboys on Saturday night, and I think the word we're looking for is perfect. The boys are a perfect 8-0 at home in AT&T Stadium this 2023 regular season, and they finally grabbed that 11th win head coach Mike McCarthy's been wanting the past few weeks, and he has the defense to thank for much of that. The Cowboys defense held an explosive Lions team that averaged 27.5 points before Saturday to just 19. Held them to just 31% on third downs. The front seven got home when they needed to, registering a sack and made game-winning plays in key moments. Jordan Lewis with one of the top many picking off Jared Goff in the second quarter, one of the many game-winning plays. His second interception against his hometown team that passed on him in the 2017 NFL Draft.
It felt good, but like I said, I mean, it's just a moment for us to get to the next game. Definitely, we needed a turnover because we've been in a drought, and we just want to get another turnover for our offense and play defense like how we knew we could play defense.
Jordan, last drive aside, how important was it to be a bend but don't break defense and not?
We just want to play to our standard. Honestly, it's not really too much as bending, not breaking. It's just playing to our standard. I feel like we did that. Kind of got sloppy at the end of the game, but we played better. We definitely played better as a whole.
How bad do you feel like you needed this one after coming off the 2 losses?
We needed to win regardless. Going into the playoffs, it didn't matter. We definitely want to win the division. And that we took that next step. Obviously, we need some help, but we definitely took that next step. And we're looking forward to Washington. I mean, we just want to clean up and get another win and head into the playoffs.
The Dallas Cowboys had gone the past 2 weeks without creating turnovers. Against the Lions, they had 2. The second game from Donovan Wilson, the guys in the second and third level playing absolutely free, but it was thankful for the boys at work in the trenches.
Yeah, man, that's what it's really about, getting back on track. With the win, the confidence, grows. So that's what it's all about, man. We was running ahead and having fun with our brotherhood and came out with a win.
Jordan Lewis and Donovan Wilson both had injuries this offseason, both made diving receptions tonight. What was it like to see those guys get one?
Man, it's fantastic, man. Definitely was hyped for them. We definitely needed it, and they broke the curse, man. We went 2-3 games without turnovers, so man, appreciate those boys.
How much work goes into the plays that you made in the run game, making those stops being on the screen?
Yeah, man, just trusting in my technique, trusting in my fundamentals, and also, trusting into the game plan that we designed throughout the week. The calls lead us to go make plays. We just got to go out there and do it.
How are you like playing in the trenches?
I love the trenches. I was born in the trenches. I will always be in the trenches. Appreciate y'all.
DeMarcus Lawrence set the tone from the very first play of the game with a stop on David Montgomery. We already knew what type of time this Cowboys defense was going to be on after that, but this Cowboys offense fed off of that defensive play. We're going to break down that right next, coming up right here on Cowboys Flashback.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys offense struggled in both week 15 and 16 to find its mojo, but we saw a little bit of that production back against the Lions, mainly because of CeeDee Lamb, his record-breaking night, 13 catches for 227 yards and a touchdown. That broke Michael Irvin's record of most receiving yards and receptions in a single season. Here's what CeeDee Lamb had to say postgame.
It's a real moment for me. Obviously, shout out to my guys. We've continued to work, continue to build, continue to grow. And, it showed. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without them. And we're looking forward to keeping it going.
92-yard. What happened on that?
Scramble Jill. Shout out Dak for using his legs. And then I just did what I could, stayed available for him. He just gave me opportunity. I finished it.
Did that from that early in the game kind of give you much motivation to try to make it?
Absolutely. Hate fumbling, But obviously that's a part of the game when you're trying to make a play. And shout out to the defense again. They came up and stepped up big, and then we had to, come up and play complimentary football, and that we did. Defense picked us up when we were down. We just had to finish the job.
CeeDee Lamb absolutely killing it like always, right? We've got Nick Harris to break down this historic night from CeeDee Lamb. I mean, a lot of doubts in this earlier part of the season about whether or not CeeDee was a top receiver in the NFL. Do you feel like he solidified himself as that?
Yeah, absolutely, especially in a year where they're probably going to be negotiating the contract here in the offseason as far as his extension goes with the Cowboys. But, we entered the night thinking, okay, he has a chance to beat the franchise record for receptions in a season. Then he gets that.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, he might have a chance at the receiving yards record, and he eclipses that by more than so. And then he has a career high in receptions, receiving yards. And he's doing everything he can so far this season. Number 2 in receiving yards in the NFL so far this year. Number 1 in receptions. He's easily in that top 5 conversation when it comes to receivers around the league.
This offense, this passing attack for the Dallas Cowboys has been explosive this season. But when you talk about the run game, still a lot of concerns there. Only 61 yards on the ground against the Lions, previously 91 against Miami. Is there concern about this run game heading into the playoffs?
Yeah, I would say so. Jerry Jones was asked about that this week, and he said that there is a little bit of a level of concern. 3 straight games the Cowboys have gone rushing under 100 yards. That's the first time since 2013 that this team has done that. So it's definitely something that has to get figured out as the Week 18 goes on, and definitely once you get into the playoffs. It's hard to imagine you make a playoff run without an efficient run game, but we'll see what this offense can do.
And I've got to ask, is it more of a scheme thing? Is it protection? What's the issue here?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. I think you could incorporate a lot of different things into the run game. You have Tony Pollard just being able to find his holes between the tackles. He was so great at doing that last season, even when the offensive line was having to play musical chairs a little bit. So we know that that's not necessarily the benefactor of the problem. I think there's a lot of things that go into it, just having those same 5 guys up front, keeping those same protection sets, and just being able to build off of that. I think consistency is going to be the biggest thing.
Well, we've got one more game in the regular season against Washington to kind of figure things out before the playoffs in 2 weeks. But right here, we're going to wrap things up coming up right after the break on Cowboys Flashback. Stick with us.
Dallas Cowboys Flashback, powered by Reliant, was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Reliant, an NRG company.
We needed to have, if you're going into the playoffs, if we got out of here without any serious injury, and I think we might have, if we did, then boy, that was not only worth it for the fans, so to speak, but it's worth it to have that kind of gut cutter, physical, tough ball game, and then come out with a win. That did us some good out of tonight.
A much-needed win, not only for this Cowboys team's confidence, but a much-needed win when we're talking about playoff football just 2 weeks away. So many scenarios heading into Saturday's matchup as far as potential seedings are concerned, but the only thing Dallas was worried about, right? They were only concerned about simply competing and getting the win over Detroit, and everything else would eventually fall into place. And we're talking about things falling into place. If the season were to end today, let's take a look at this NFC playoff picture. The Cowboys would be the number 2 seed behind the San Francisco 49ers. Then you have Detroit at number 3 seed, Tampa Bay at the number 4 seed, and of course the Eagles at the number 5 seed, right? So this win against Detroit was certainly something that the Cowboys needed to do, and they did their part, and so far things are playing out very well. Philadelphia lost to Arizona in Week 17, which sat them both at 11-5, giving the Cowboys the advantage in the 4th tiebreaker with a better conference record than the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, the ride, though, is not over just yet. The Cowboys now control their own destiny. We like the Cowboys controlling their own destiny in the NFC East, heading into Week 18 against the Washington Commanders. Now, there's 2 things at stake: the NFC East division crown and the number 2 seed in the NFC playoffs. That would set up a wild card round playoff game against the number 7 seed and a potential home game in the divisional round with a wild card round win. A lot riding on Sunday's game. The Cowboys head back on the road looking to redeem themselves. They've been battle tested all year long, sitting at 3-5 on the road. They've been dominant at home, so we know how much a home playoff game will mean for this Dallas Cowboys team. They look to get their 22nd NFC East title. Hopefully they can get it done in FedEx Field. There's a 3:25 kickoff. We will make sure to see you out there, Cowboys Nation. And we'll see if the Dallas Cowboys can keep this winning ways going. They look to break and extend that Washington losing streak to 8. We'll see if they can get it done. We'll see you all in FedEx Field, Cowboys Nation.